Compressed gases are useful as well as hazardous, and on some occasions, compressed gas cylinders behave as rockets or bombs. To deal with such hazards, this is the responsibility of the employer as well as the employees to work safely, to follow safe work procedures, safe system of work while they are dealing, using, handling, transporting or storing compressed gases or compressed gas cylinders. The contractors, even the subcontractors, those perform tasks with compressed gases, their staff members as well as the employees, they must be trained and they must be aware of the physical hazards associated with compressed gases. Design specification, capabilities and limitations of compressed gas storage systems and their use at the worksite. They should also know the methods and procedures that will prevent exposure to compressed gases or hazards associated with compressed gases. They must understand the importance of control measures, the safe work practices, which type of personal protective equipment is required during maintenance and storage of compressed gases. What are the health hazards associated with compressed gases used at the worksite? Signs and symbols of exposure to compressed gases used at the worksite. Compressed gas cylinder handlers and users must know the maintenance requirements of compressed gas system to ensure they are working appropriately and within the specifications, and how to identify when the compressed gas systems are not working appropriately. Dear friends and colleagues, we are talking about compressed gases and compressed gas cylinders. This is part 3, and this is the operational part of compressed gases. In this training session, we'll talk about how to use gas cylinders, what are the functions of regulators, flashback arrestors, hoses, piping, blowpipes, and torches, and what to do if there is an accidental situation, there is a fire or explosion with regards to compressed gases, how to respond, and what will be the first aid procedure in the gas leak or explosion emergency. So, without wasting time, let's get started. Dear friends and colleagues, after the regulator is attached, the cylinder valve should be opened just enough to indicate pressure on the regulator gauge, no more than one full turn, and all the connections checked with soap solution for leaks. But remember, never use oil or grease on the regulator for a cylinder valve. Before a regulator is removed from a cylinder, the cylinder valve shall be closed and the regulator relieved of gas pressure. The valve cap shall be replaced, the cylinder clearly marked as empty, and returned to the storage area for pickup by the supplier. Regulators, gauges, hoses, and other apparatus shall not be used on gas cylinders having different chemical properties. Valve outlet thread size is different for different products, but the same products from different gas suppliers will have the same thread. Do you know what is the function of a regulator? A regulator is a device that receives gas at a high pressure and reduces it to a much lower working pressure. Precision instruments must be handled with care to avoid damage to their sensitive springs, diaphragms, valve seals, etc. Equipment should display the relevant European a British standard number, and the pressures up to which it can operate. Leave the pressure adjustment knob screw fully out when the regulator is not in use. This ensures a minimum of tension on the springs and the diaphragms. Cylinders should be placed with the valve accessible at all times. The main cylinder valve should be closed as soon as it is no longer necessary that it be open. It should never be left open when the equipment is unattended or not operating. This is necessary not only for safety when the cylinder is under pressure, but also to prevent the corrosion and contamination resulting from diffusion of air and moisture into the cylinder after it has been emptied. The most important component is flashback arrestor. Flashback is the result of mixture of fuel gas and oxygen burning within the hose. Flame travels and burns its way towards the gas source at great speed. That can result in force of explosion in either cylinder. Flashback arrestors must be fitted on both oxygen and fuel gas regulators. If flashback arrestor is dropped or damaged, replace it immediately. Flashback arrestors should only be used with the gas they are labeled for and the pressure they are designed for. Common reasons of flashback: incorrect purging of hose or torch prior to use, incorrect gas pressure, incorrect nozzle, damaged torch valves, gas passages blocked within the torch, kinked or trapped hose. These are the reasons why there is a flashback, and flashback arrestor is a safety device that counter the flash and to avoid any accidental situation. Let us discuss now what is the use of hoses and how to inspect. And as a practitioner, as a supervisor, what you have to look for once you are at site and you are inspecting compressed gas cylinders and accessories. You have to look for correct hose bore size, pressure rating, length, and color coding. Those are essential as per BS EN 559. This is the safety standard that is related to hoses. Blue, oxygen; red, acetylene and other fuel gases except LPG; black, inert and non-combustible gases; orange, liquefied petroleum gas. Never use hoses that are longer than necessary. Never use equipment while hoses are wrapped around the cylinder or a trolley. Length of the hose should be suitable for the task. Keep hoses in good condition. Examine the hoses for cracks, deterioration, damage, and test the hose for leaks before use. Don't repair hoses unless you have the skill and means to test them in accordance with BSEN 1256. Don't put wrapping tape around hosing as this contains combustible hydrocarbons. Don't use copper piping with acetylene hoses as it is potentially explosive. And it is also your responsibility to protect hosing from the heat, oil, grease, or mechanical damage. These are the safety precautions. You have to make sure these are implemented and followed at the work site where there the compressed gases are in use. Let us understand now the function of piping. Dear friends and colleagues, distribution lines and their outlets should be clearly labeled as the type of gas contained. Piping systems should be inspected for leaks on a regular basis. Special attention should be given to fittings as well as possible cracks that may have developed during the task execution or operation. Once you are looking for compressed gases and their accessories, you must know what are blowpipes and torches. Leaks are a serious hazard as they are closest to the operator. Always check condition before use and ensure tip is free of obstruction. Signs of heat damage around the blowpipe or torch may indicate the equipment has suffered internal damage and is leaking and should be replaced immediately. No sign of sideways movement of the cutting lever, as this could cause gas leaks within the body of the torch that are difficult to detect. Always fit the correct size nozzle for the job. Hole size and pressure set at regulator. Determine gas flow and gas velocity exiting the nozzle. Manufacturer gives a pressure rating for the nozzle being used. If the gas exit velocity is slower than the combustion velocity, backfire and flashback may occur. This is an important point, and you must understand how to avoid flashback or backfire. Replace blowpipe or torch if broken, bent or loose gas control valve. Leak test all connections and valves prior to use compressed gases. If replacing O-ring seals, always use the correct materials. Dear friends and fellows, you are on the platform of Safety First Life. This is part 3 of compressed gas cylinder safety. Do you know the acetylene is unique? Let us discuss now what are the properties of acetylene. Remember, acetylene gas under excess pressure becomes unstable. Cylinders should never be subject to intense heat or physical impact as the rise in temperature and pressure may cause the acetylene to thermally decompose. Prior to moving a cylinder that has been subject to heat or severe impact, contact trained emergency personnel who can check the temperature rise and apply correct procedures. The cylinder may appear normal, but if it is moved, it may detonate with fatal consequences. These fatal consequences might be multiple casualties, deaths, damage to property, or a massive fire. During handling the gas cylinders, you have to wear personal protective equipment that may include gloves, protective footwear, eye protection, and so on, as per the recommendations of your methods of statement and the approved risk assessment. Correct way to move cylinders is to keep upright, secure, and with valves uppermost. Use mechanical aids such as a trolley where reasonably practicable. Use suitable cradles, slings, clamps, or other effective means when lifting with the hoist or crane. For short distances on even ground, the practice of milk churning means manually moving cylinders can be used only by trained personnel and never for longer distances in uneven ground, wet or icy conditions, poor lighting. All personnel involved should have completed manual handling training. Never roll cylinders along the ground. Never transport cylinder with valve and pressure regulator attached or with the valve open. Never attempt to catch a falling cylinder. Just get out of the way. Never lift a cylinder by its cap, valve, or guard. Remember and treat that cylinder is never empty. Once you are transporting compressed gas cylinders, carriage of dangerous goods regulation will apply. If possible, carry in open vehicles or trailers. If they must be carried in closed vans or cars, ensure good ventilation at all times. If the load compartment is not separated from the driver, don't carry toxic gas cylinders. those with the toxic gas label and having yellow as a color on the cylinder. Secure cylinders properly so they cannot move or fall in transit, or don't project beyond the edges of the vehicle, normally in the upright position unless instructions for transport state otherwise. Ensure gas cylinders are clearly labeled to show contents and associated hazards. Fit suitable protective valve caps and covers to cylinders. These all safety requirements once you are transporting compressed gas cylinders. Furthermore, you have to disconnect hoses and regulators from cylinders before carrying, before transportation. Carry propane cylinders upright and don't carry flammable gas cylinders in the same compartment, means same vehicle as toxic gas cylinders. Don't smoke while carrying cylinders inside vans or cars. Unload the cylinders as soon as possible and move to a well ventilated storage area. If you suspect it is leaking, park the vehicle, investigate the fault, and contact the supplier immediately. If you are involved in an accident, advise any emergency services involved what gas cylinders are being carried. After discussing the use, handling, and transporting, let us understand now what are the requirements for safe storage of compressed gas cylinders. Dear friends and fellows, each storage area should be subject to unique risk assessment. It is best to store gas cylinders in the open and on concrete in a fenced compound with some weather protection. In storage areas, oxygen cylinders must be stored at least 3 meters away, separated by a firewall from fuel gases such as acetylene, propane, methane, etc. Full cylinders should be stored separately from empties, and empty oxygen cylinders should be segregated from empty fuel gas cylinders. Other products should not be stored in the gas storage areas, especially not oil or corrosive liquids, sources of ignition of flammable materials. Ease of access into and around storage area greater than 0.6 meter to prevent domino effect. LPG cylinders have special requirements, including storage 3 meter away from the other gases. Pyrophoric and toxic gases should be stored separately in locked, suitable ventilated storage areas with restricted access. Protect gas cylinders from external heat sources, which may adversely affect their mechanical integrity. Cylinders should be secured and properly restrained, secure with straps and chains connected to the wall bracket or other fixed surface, or by use of a cylinder stand. Cylinders should be clearly labeled to show contents and associated hazards. Dear friends and colleagues, you are watching Safety First. If you are first time on this channel, kindly subscribe it and press the bell icon for all future notifications. And if you find the video informative, like, comment and share it with your friends and fellows. You have to store all cylinders upright and secure on a level surface to prevent them from falling. Acetylene and propane must never be stacked horizontally either in storage or in use. Storage arrangements should ensure turnaround of stock in adequate time. Storage areas with gas cylinders must have more than one exit. Cylinders should be located away from any heat, a source of ignition, and if possible, away from the fire exits, elevators, walkways, building egresses, unprotected platform edges, or in locations where heavy moving objects may strike or fall on them. Storage arrangements should be clearly described in the emergency plan. Storage area must have good housekeeping and indicate warning signs with firefighting arrangements, equipment as necessary and as per the recommendations of emergency plan. What to do if there is a damage or leak in the compressed gas cylinder? First of all, you have to report immediately the leak to your concerned supervisor, to your concerned work in charge, or the supplier immediately. Secondly, if a cylinder is leaking but the leak has not ignited and it is safe to do so, then you have to follow these steps. Step number one, eliminate all sources of ignition. Step number two, ensure the valve is closed but don't over tighten it. Step number three, put the cylinder in a safe place that is well ventilated. Keep it upright. Step number four, mark the cylinder as faulty and not to be used. Step number five, warn everyone in the area of the gas leak. Step number six, inform the supplier. Step number seven, ensure the work area is thoroughly ventilated before continuing with any work. Step number eight, if a hydrogen cylinder is involved, be aware that hydrogen burns with an invisible flame. So seek expert assistance and advice on immediate basis. Otherwise, it may create an emergency or accidental situation. If a cylinder is leaking and it has ignited, it could explode. Call the emergency services and evacuate the area to a minimum distance of 100 meters. Where a cylinder has been damaged, if it has been dropped or physically damaged, check it for leakage and deal with as for leaking cylinder. For handling acetylene cylinders should not be moved unless it is clearly established that there is no thermal disassociation. Clearly mark any cylinder that has been exposed to excessive heat or physical impact and contact the supplier. Condition 3. If a flashback has occurred, close both blowpipe valves but oxygen first. Close both cylinder valves. Check the temperature of the acetylene cylinder for thermal decomposition. Check the blowpipe has not overheated. Check the nozzle is not damaged. Open both blowpipe valves oxygen first to vent the system. Unwind the pressure adjustment screw on each pressure regulator. Before starting up again, check the integrity of the whole system. Dear friends and colleagues, three conditions. First condition, leakage of gas but no fire. Second condition, leakage and there is fire. And third condition, there is flashback. So you have to memorize these important points because in the emergency situations, your mind and skills are not working as in the peacetime. So be ready for the war during peace. You have to make preparation, safety arrangements to deal with such emergencies in your normal life. Otherwise, once there is the real scenario, maybe the people will find you, but you will be nowhere, hiding yourself somewhere else outside the work area. And that will be a funny scene. And on the other hand, it may affect the lives of your workforce, your colleagues, and friends. Let us discuss now how to deal compressed gas cylinder once the gas cylinder is on a fire. Depends on the gas, whether the gas is alight at the cylinder wall or if the cylinder has been subject to severe pressure as a result of heat from the fire. Nature of hazard will determine procedure to be applied. If cylinder has been involved in fire, don't approach. Evacuate the area to 100-meter minimum to 300-meter. Call fire services, fire brigade. Use large quantities of water to cool the cylinders if safe to do so. But Don't aim high pressure water direct at the cylinders. If you are applying water, maintain a safe distance and await the arrival of trained emergency personnel. Means the staff of fire services or fire brigade. Remove any cylinders not involved in fire to safe place. Ensure valves are closed if safe to do so. Inform your supplier and if cylinder contents are unknown. If gas cylinder contents are unknown, treat as acetylene. Dear friends and colleagues, in your workplace, you have to look out for gas cylinders in horizontal position on the ground, in contact with electrical cords, not protected from falling, chain not secure, damaged in an area where could be subject to impact such as near operating forklift, stored near combustibles, oxygen and acetylene stored together and without valve caps. Deal with these hazards immediately. No delay, no lengthy reports. There is the dire requirement to take action and action fast. Remember, where there is the use of compressed gases involving compressed gas cylinders, there is chance of leaks, fire, explosion, etc. You have to prepare a suitable risk assessment and you have to develop first aid procedure to deal with such emergency scenarios. This emergency and first aid procedure shall include the provision of first aid facilities, kits, and first aid personnel. Those are trained and competent to appropriately deal with compressed air injuries such as air and foreign particle injection. Provisions to immediately shut down air compressors, isolate gas cylinders, etc. in the event of an emergency. This emergency and first aid plan should include the contact details for external emergency services and the relevant on site personnel, evacuation routes, and emergency assembly points. And lastly, for toxic gases leaks, the cylinder shall be moved to an isolated, well ventilated area, but only if this is reasonably practicable while maintaining personal safety. A general evacuation of the building may be necessary and have the cylinder approached only by trained emergency response personnel wearing appropriate PPE and self-contained breathing apparatus. These are the minimum requirements that must be the part of emergency first aid procedure. Let us wind up the training session, part 3 of compressed gas cylinder safety. Compressed gases present a unique hazard. Depending on the particular gas, there is a potential for simultaneous exposure to both mechanical and chemical hazards. Compressed gases are hazardous, but it depends on the particular gas. Compressed gas accidents occur because of inadequate training and supervision, poor installation, poor maintenance, faulty equipment, and a design badly fitting valves or regulators, poor handling, poor storage, inadequately ventilated working conditions. Once you are working with compressed gases, you need to know the properties of the gas, safe use procedures, and what to do when things go wrong. And lastly, for detailed use of individual gases, you should go through and review the SDS safety data sheet for each gas used on your site. But always treat gas cylinders with care and respect. And that's all for now. Training session part 3, safe use of compressed gases, is over. If you have any question, please ask in the comment section. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to like, comment and share the video. Hope to see you soon with a new HSC tutorial. Till then, take care, stay blessed and safe. Good luck and Allah Hafiz.